He looks great, though, isn't he? He looks really comfortable. It's relaxed. You know what I mean? There's an ease in everything. You just see his face, and you're just kind of like, that is a man who is gliding through life. Like, honest to God, he looks like he's. It is constipated justice. That's what I think when I see his face. That and I never. That's why I don't buy oranges, because they sit there and then they go bad, and I don't eat them. That's the other reason. That's the other thing I think. The other thing I think is he gets new teeth every 18 months or something like that, rather than brush or floss. He just goes and gets them rotated like NASCAR tires. That's the rumor has it. Okay, so anyways, the Mess D'Souza has posted this, and I don't know if it's copied directly from his phone or what, but we'll see. Here we go. This is Donald Trump. Trump lays out epic new economic agenda to fight the effects of Bidenomics. Bam! Let's turn this boat around. Having under 4% unemployment? Fuck that. Wages climate? Fuck that. Like, all we're going to do is, he's basically going to turn the things you can control back towards where they were, and then let the things that you can't control cascade out of control and drive us off a cliff. That's the plan. Basically, Marianne Williamson is his economic advisor right now, except she means well. Her ideas are just ridiculous. He means ill with the same ridiculous ideas.
One of the most important issues in this campaign will be who can rescue our country from the burning wreckage of Bidenomics.
The burning wreckage? Cut. Fucking 7 seconds in. Burning wreckage of shit.
Will be who can rescue our country from the burning wreckage of
wreckage. Wreckage? Ugh. It's gonna be one of those, isn't it? Fucking. I lied. By the way, he fucked that up 6 seconds in. I only stopped it at 7. Check this shit out. 6 seconds in, the fucker can't fucking start again. Burning wreckage. To sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block. They teach you that in acting class and in elocution classes and in dictation classes so that you can fucking use your lips and tongue in the right order. Fuckity fuck. Dude hosted a fucking game show. He can't wreckage.
Bidenomics, which shall henceforth be defined as inflation, taxation, submission, and failure.
Why? You could say that 4 times fast. Inflation, taxation. All right. What were the 4 again?
Shall henceforth be defined.
Henceforth.
Defined as inflation, taxation, submission, and failure.
And if you say it in order, you get extra points. It will be from now on, Trumponomics will be defined as person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Under my leadership, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
And all it took was hundreds of thousands of dead Americans to open up some jobs and slow down the economy. And of course, lower gas prices to almost nothing because no one was going anywhere or doing anything in the entire fucking world.
In fact, we did it twice. And when I get back in the Oval Office,
we'll do it a 3rd time.
We will do it again, and it'll be bigger and better.
Magoo! Make America great over and over.
And stronger than ever before. On day 1, the Biden economic bust will be replaced with the historic Trump economic boom.
The Biden boom thing bothers him a lot. So they're trying to throw in Biden bust. They want Biden bust in there. The problem is, bust is a very distinct thing. It's like a stock market crash. It has to be kind of like that. Dealing with inflation and higher costs and the kind of rotation of the availability of goods and supply chain issues is much more malleable than a crash like 2008 or something. So he's trying to swap those words, Biden boom and bust, and it drives him crazy that it's just, it's the Trump dump, I guess, is what he's afraid of.
Any numbers you see that are economically positive in the Biden administration are because they're running on the fumes of
3 years of fumes. Holy shit. Okay, first of all, let's put the ridiculousness of the entire concept aside for a second and recognize this man has never driven a car in his fucking life. Can't drive a car. Can't drive. And he sure as shit has never been in the same position you and I have been in, where we're looking at E on our fucking, in our car and going, I could get there. Can I get there? I can get there. I can get that. 32 miles, 28 miles a gallon. How much is uphill? If I take my foot off the gas when I'm going downhill, that'll buy me an extra minute of driving time or whatever. Okay, the gas station there. As long as I don't have to sit and wait for a pump, I'm good. Like, how many of you in the chat room, let me know, because even the trolls have to admit to this. You've been there. Maybe it was when you were younger. Maybe it was back when cars had a crank on them. I know some of you have been around for a long time, and I appreciate you navigating the interwebs as well as you do. But yeah, it's real fucking early. Experienced that. I was driving at 13 years old, kids, out in the country. Yeah, you get that fucking where you're just like, it's like you're playing chicken with the fucking fuel needle, where you're riding, and you know, everybody here, running on empty, running long, running right? You know what I'm talking about. Whereas, this motherfucker has no idea what that feeling is like. No idea. Never has, never will. Well, I mean, he might eventually. I mean, I feel like that's you know, maybe that's what going down a ramp by himself, walking in dress shoes feels like. Sure. It's just that's the closest he's ever come. He's never run on empty in his life in that regard. Well, I mean, maybe the bankruptcies, sure. But just for the record, you can't run on fucking economic fumes for 3/4 of your fucking presidency, and you sure as shit aren't running on fumes during the good part. If the bad news wasn't part of the fucking fumes, then the good news isn't part of the fucking fumes. Jesus Christ.
What we created years prior.
Oh, look at that. Did you hear that? Did you hear the Freudian slip? Did you hear it? Wait, back up.
Are because they're running on the fumes of.
Yeah, well, who isn't at this point, honestly? Okay.
What we created years.
We created. He honestly, he almost accidentally said cratered. It's like he said, what we cratered years ago. Fuck, it says fuckity fuck. Created. Cratered, dummy. You cratered it. Yes, you did. You fucked up.
Prior to their taking office. Let's look at the facts comparing crooked Joe Biden's economic catastrophe with the incredible success of a certain president named Donald J. Trump.
Usually I have other people read this, but I like saying my own name as if I've never even met the fucker. And I kind of haven't, because really, if there's anybody who knows himself less than me, I don't know. I don't know him, which would probably be me.
Under Biden, real incomes have gone down by $7,400 per family.
And yet, incomes have gone up.
Under President Trump, yearly income went up by more than $6,000.
As long as you didn't die from COVID. So, that, you know, obviously that was a factor.
After revising Biden's fake job numbers by accounting for returning Trump workers who were already employed before the pandemic.
Yeah, because, you know, once something like a pandemic passes, even if you have like 1 million dead, everybody goes back to work. Okay, guys, emergency over. Everybody just go back magically to doing what you were doing if it's still there when you get back. And all those businesses that disappeared, they just magically came out. I don't even know what you were worried about. What were people bitching about? Now, obviously, some people lost their businesses and had to get government jobs like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's a sad story. But everybody else just went back out there and picked up their shovel and went back to digging graves.
Just 2.1 million new jobs have been created
just
during Biden's first 30 months in office, which is a disgrace. Contrast, during my first 30 months in office, we created 4.9 million new jobs.
Yeah, but you were riding on Obama's fumes half the time, so. Isn't that how it works?
Millions more than the experts predicted. Under Biden, gas prices are up $4, $5, $6, and even to $7 a gallon.
$8, just go 12. $8, $15 a gallon. 20. It's $20 a gallon. Don't even drive. As a matter of fact, everybody go out and knife your tires just to keep yourself. It's like, because just even getting in it and driving to the gas station, it's like gambling. You're weak.
Inflation has reached the highest level in half a century and more.
Well, it did last year, and then it's come back down. The war had a lot to do with it.
Mortgage rates are pushing a brutal 7% and going higher.
Oh, brutal. And they're going higher. They're almost to the point they were normally forever.
America.
Yeah, this Wiffle Poof says it's $9,000 a gallon for gas. That's, if it goes to $9,500, I don't know. I'm getting an electric car. Fuck it. It's time to bite the bullet, really.
Americans now have to pay $366,000 more in interest payments just to purchase a house. When I was
if you flip them.
Your president, the 30-year mortgage rate reached a record low of 2.65%. Wouldn't you like to have that back again?
not to trade for the manufacturing in the country and the infrastructure bill, and of course I wouldn't trade what would effectively be 40% inflation, which is what you'd have to get if you kept it at that, considering the supply shock aspect of that would have been a factor maybe. And here's the point. Also, Trump has to make the argument. Man, he won't. I mean, this is just silliness. I mean, this is he's just doing this because Kudlow was just there, and Kudlow helped him draft this fucking statement. It's just silly. What? Mark Meadows and flatly requested extension and surrender, which is legally required. Oh, that's nice. Meadows is asked to surrender extension, and he won't get it. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Obama. Right. The question is, and this is why he can't do the debates. It's because he can come out and say this shit. It's like part of his imagine this as part of his opening statement at the debates. And then somebody pushes back and goes, hey, well, what would you have done to counter, the excess money supply, which is the idea, the money printer go burr idea of why we have inflation in the first place, which is not caused by that. It's literally by the reshuffling of the supply chains and moving manufacturing back home, which because of union jobs and the lack of slave labor is why prices are higher. And so everybody who bitches about certain things being more expensive, there are elements of that where it's kind of fuck you, because the only reason they were cheaper is because they were sewn by children, that kind of stuff. Whereas, eggs and shit, obviously, like $3.99 for 2 dozen at Costco, which is where most of his supporters shop.
Inflation was less than 1.9%.
Because no one was going anywhere.
And we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon.
And again, nowhere to drive to. Oil was negative $26 a fucking barrel.
And in some cases, even lower than that.
Yes, at some places, like the Villages.
Under Biden, the radical Democrat communists have piled over 10.
The radical Democrat communists. So, all right, radical communist Democrats would be like they're crazy commies who are part of the Democratic Party. Radical Democrat communists means that, I guess what, they're nuts and they have to vote on fucking everything. We need a plurality or we can't move forward with our commie plan. All right, look, are we going to, I don't know, put someone in a chair and reprogram their brain and turn them into a Manchurian candidate? Everyone raise your hand. All those in favor say aye. What are you doing? We're radical Democrat communists. I thought we were radical communist Democrats. No. They're over there digging.
$1,000 of.
What are they digging? I don't know. They just said idle hands of the devil's workshop, and they just started digging to China. I don't know what's happening. They've been digging since, I don't know, what is it, 2017?
Job-killing regulatory costs onto the backs of every single American household in less than 3 years. By contrast, under the Trump administration, we cut the cost of job-killing regulations by an amazing $11,000 per household. So
Well, obviously, that's not evenly distributed. Now, for example, like if you live in East Palestine, the cost of that deregulation, it didn't benefit you quite as much. Just saying. So the other people got maybe 11 grand. I don't know how much you got. All of it, everything. It cost you everything. It cost you your house and your life and your water and your job. The deregulation. So everybody else made 11 grand though in New York.
Look how that works when you compare them both.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I just did, and you're an asshole. I don't know what to tell you.
Under our leadership, 401k savings and retirement accounts were soaring.
Until
under Biden, people have been set back for years to come.
Have they?
Biden even for
yeah, the stock market's what is the stock market? 22,000 right now? Like it's just eating shit since he left. I mean, he predicted it. He said, when Biden takes over, the stock market's going to crash. The Dow is it's fucked o'clock at the Dow every single day. Yep. Market-based anything in this country can suck it. Jeez. Market-based anything in this country? Semi-go nuts that I don't know what you mean by that. Market-based is actually the fair price for work and for food gathering and supply. Yeah, the stock market is at 34,000. And stock market based is not quite the same thing as market based. It's just saying.
Forced us into a recession, and then the media tried to change the definition of recession to protect him.
So let me get this right. So he's talking about last year when we had 2 years of contraction, or two quarters of contraction, and therefore we were technically in a recession, but none of the other factors of a recession were actually happening. And largely that was due to both oil prices, restructuring of the supply chain, and the fact that we were coming out of COVID and just silliness. Again, you can't use the same markers. The analogy I like to use is you've been going to the same doctor for years about your migraines, and he treats your migraines, and he gives you, every time you come in, like, yeah, the headaches are back, and he adjusts your prescription and that kind of thing. And then one day you come in with a railroad spike stuck in your fucking head, and he goes, headaches, huh? That's the same thing.
Always trying to protect him.
Oh, yeah. So the idea is that all the good markers of the economy are because they're running on the fumes of the Trump administration. But the fact that we almost had a recession last year are Biden's fault. But the stuff after the recession is Trump fumes. Fucking hell.
But the
bullshit. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to a little segment we call Hello Bullshit. That's right. Where it's just so blatant and silly that we just have to say hi.
People are getting wise to it now.
Are they? Finally. They're getting wise to it now that the recession has passed and we're getting... Fucking hell. Yeah, boy.
It's no surprise that under our leadership, approval of the economy was 3 times higher than it is under Biden.
Until
I was president, 63% of Americans rated the economy as excellent or good.
Well, yeah, you were riding on Obama's fumes, right?
Today, that number is just 19%. But America's economic resurgence is coming soon.
Yes, it is. It's actually happening now. And by the way, if I may, let me see if I can find this for you. This is good stuff. Let me open this guy right here. It was a fascinating story I saw in Axios this morning, which I was really, it's always the strangest. Open up, you silly thing. It's always the strangest news sources that finally come around. And where are you? Is it open over here? Is that what this is? Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, there we go. Okay, open up over here. There you go. Thanks. So, and I put it under the politics, but there we go. It's probably the last article that I put in there after the thing, and we'll open it here. We'll put this to here, and we open it to, and you'll see this article. America's manufacturing boom could add 250,000 jobs in 2 years. In the next 2 years is what they mean, for the record, by the way. This is an article in Axios from today, yes. Roughly 200,000 to 250,000 new manufacturing jobs could be added in the U.S. over the next 2 years, according to a new estimate from Goldman Sachs. Why it matters. The increase, which amounts to about 2% of current manufacturing employment. And by the way, how many people in the audience, in general, or how many, I think more specifically, our dear maggots who are with us today. Hello, trolls. Hello. Welcome. Those of you that aren't professional trolls, I welcome you. You have a little bit of respite here. We won't treat you like shit as long as you don't, burst forth with any racial epithets or any kind of, watch your language. And you can pretty much just say whatever stupid shit you want to say. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. But maybe you could just, this is a good place to come if you're supposed to report back to Trump land that you're over here screaming at the liberals and you're just tired of it because you just feel like you're being jerked around on that side. I understand. So just come over here. Yeah, I'm giving it to them. Something good. Help me. That's okay. You're allowed. And this would traditionally be what we would call something good for America. And I hope you're rooting for it. I hope you're excited about this idea and not shit talking it just cause. Okay. Yeah. It's a bitter pill. I understand. It's you're chewing aspirin here, but I appreciate you taking your medicine. The increase, which amounts to about 2% of current manufacturing employment levels. How many people in this country know that 250,000 jobs would be 2% of manufacturing in the United States? Think about those numbers for a second. How many people in the 2%? 2%. 200 to 250,000, about 2% of current manufacturing employment levels. We're going to add 2% to our, yeah. Let's see if they have a breakdown of it on here. Yeah, here we go. This is the Fred, the St. Louis Fed. Yeah. Here's, yeah, it's so funny. Here's, right about where we're humming along, and then 9/11, and then more Bush stuff, and then pow, we hit 2008, and we've been arcing back. And you'll notice, by the way, that the Trump year, here's Obama, and you get up to Trump, and there's this little dip, and then it just continues the way it was going because these are long-term strategies. And then here's in Trump, March 2020, it takes a giant shit, and then it claws back to about here, and then it just kind of labors around till February of 2021, and then bam, right back up, nearly uninterrupted, like the gap was just there. And it'll lever out and then pop up. But they're going to add another 200,000 just to this one. There you go. This is all employees as far as manufacturing. Here's 1980 is the top of it, and then down a little bit from 2000. And by the way, for the record, the GDP of the entire country started to go up precipitously around 2000, around here, when manufacturing actually went down. At the point of outsource, the generalized GDP of the country continues to climb. Like, I would love to see a chart that's both at the same time, because as we outsourced a lot of those jobs, we also outsource a lot of the physical damage done by those jobs and the physical maladies caused by those jobs and the cancers and all that other stuff from old factory methodologies. Now, new factory methodologies and clean rooms and high tech and all that kind of stuff, we're taking, and OSHA being what it is, those would be, what are those things called? Regulations. That's right. Regulations make it a lot easier to, to have a manufacturing job that won't lead to you being a broken down human being later on in your life. That started making a comeback in this regard. These were a lot of dirty jobs for a long time. These were a lot of manufacturing, but a lot of broken hands, broken backs, worn out systems, a lot of borderline black lung level illnesses in that process. And now, that transfer. But boink, here we go. This is by no means the manufacturing heyday, but also a lot more, middle class jobs. This is the shift over from effectively the working class carrying the brunt of most stuff, and then managerial class starting right around, I would argue right around here, around 1980. This dip right here, 83. Yeah. Anyways, so that's the idea. Where was this big dummy? Where are we going? Oh, I gotta go back to here. Where? Oh, that's Eric. What am I doing? Oh, that's Greg. Where are you? There he is. Okay, I lost him for a second. Okay. Hal makes a nice statement. Oh, that's sweet. That's awfully sweet of you to say.
With tax cuts, regulatory cuts, tariffs, energy independence, and even...
By the way, tariffs. Just random fucking tariffs. That's going to happen. Just to let you know. He thinks tariffs fix shit.
Energy dominance, which we will have.
We're totally going to have it. We basically already kind of do.
We will end Bidenomics and the disastrous Biden era, the most incompetent president we've ever had.
I swear to God, he's got to be dookying right now. Listen to the end of that. How do you finish the sentence where...
And the disastrous Biden era, the most incompetent president we've ever had.
It can't be just me. Hold on one second. I think, where are we? It has a very distinct...
God, sorry, I farted.
You know what I mean?
Will soon be over. We will do it quickly. We will do it effectively. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much.
And also, he had... What do you... Just keep going, you silly thing. Try again. Continue.
Let's talk about some of those weights on Donald Trump.
I don't want to talk about those. I want to I have a computer over here that's like that is updating and it just doesn't want to update. Okay, quit. What happened? Oh, there it goes. It basically said, you want to continue installing? You want to continue installing? I'm going to go yes. Fuck it. No, and then it starts installing. That's how behind this computer is. All right. Anyways, so needless to say, that was a direct offshoot of that Larry Kudlow interview that he did the other day, where Larry Kudlow was blowing smoke up his ass and trying to keep him on message about how great things were, the heyday of the height of Trumpistan, and ultimately, I gotta say, like you're gonna hear that exact same gish gallop of horse shit over and over again, where COVID never happened. That's the key thing. The entire point of his economic, and never mind the fact that we officially entered a recession in February of 2020. This is before the shutdowns, before any of that shit. We officially entered a recession in February of 2020. One that was on its way, and that they'd been manipulating, shuffling money around to try and stave off for as long as fucking possible. And the weird thing was, if Trump had just sort of bit the bullet and experienced his Trump recession in early 2019, they hadn't tried to, get everybody to sort of play ball with him and make it so that it doesn't exist and, fudge the numbers, he would have gotten through it. And then by the time the election came around, it would be, it'd be like, we had a recession, and that was because of the last guy. It's because of the fumes of the Obama administration, and I fixed it, though, and we're fine. And we rode right through that. It was the shortest recession ever. Even if it was the longest, he could still say that, and his followers would go, So, but he didn't. He did everything he could, and that's when you'll recall, in 2019, he was specifically yelling at the Fed. He was so angry at the Fed for not doing negative interest rates. Right? Remember, he wanted interest rates to be, negative, half a point or negative 1 point or whatever. Basically, also so that he could take all the debt that we'd accrued because of his unfunded tax credit that he'd given out, his only for corporations, temporarily for people tax credit tax break that he gave. He wanted to get rid of that debt essentially by refinancing it, and the only way you could actually do that was if it didn't cost you anything, or if you made money having debt, which is what he was hoping for. Because also, if he could, let's understand that on two fronts, this would have helped Trump in an amazing way. And keeping the rates really low helped his family business too, because real estate benefited from it. It's why you had these huge swaths of giant corporations like BlackRock and others buying up large tracts of land and buying up apartment complexes and shit all over the place, because the money was so cheap, you could borrow at so low a number. And if you're already got the leverage of other properties, even if they're bullshit, even if it's a lie, like most of his properties were, you could still leverage that and buy more property, right? You could still buy, if you have a building, it's not worth half of what you say it is, but you could find a bank at that amount if interest rates were, 1.5%, 2%, that would give you the money, because even if they just sat on the building and had to fight you in court and get it back, long term, the value of that real estate, if it took a couple of years for you to fuck around and find out, they would make money on the deal. The bank would make money on you being a terrible investment because the interest rate was so low. And if they drive it below negative, and Trump knows the date they're going to do it, and like one fucking phone call to Don Jr. or Eric, and they are refinancing every fucking property they have long term. Now, granted, Trump is an idiot and he didn't even read his own ghostwritten book. So in the one case where, like in Chicago, Trump Tower there, everybody else who's a partner in that, they refinanced when the number was low. And for some reason, Trump didn't. And maybe it was because Eric was running shit or Don was running shit and they're just as stupid as their dad. But they literally are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more in interest and in taxes because they just didn't do normal business. Because I think he probably had Don and Eric, and maybe he was pulling these levers himself, thought he could actually make that happen. He could make negative interest rates happen. So he was just waiting, like, you watch, these fuckers are going to lock themselves in on a 30-year for this, their part of this building, and I'm going to get it below that, and then I'll lie, you watch, I'm going to lock in a negative interest rate, which is horse shit and crazy talk. But it seems to be what he thought, because he didn't pull the trigger on any of his refinance opportunities when he had them. And it's not because they don't know how to do that, because they do that all the time. The difference is that I think they expected him to have more power economically than he did. And then when he lost the election, he's like, fuck! And that was that.